Hello YouTube, this is Josh from JakeJoshTeam, and I wanted to tell you guys my story. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and notification bell to support the channel. Thanks. After our summer break in June, I returned back to the school to begin the sea trial years. At the Merchant Marine Academy, you graduate with a Coast Guard license in addition to a Bachelor's of Science and a commission in one of the Armed Forces branches. Yes, you heard that right. When you graduate, you get a license to sail on a commercial vessel, a Bachelor's of Science, and you choose which military branch you want to be an officer in. The Merchant Marine Academy is the only federal academy that allows this. But to obtain that Coast Guard license, you need to sail either as a navigation cadet or engineering cadet for 300 days and observe the role of the officers on board the ship you are assigned to. This is where the school days and the sea days get combined together for your sophomore and junior year at the Merchant Marine Academy. You spend 3 trimesters training on commercial vessels and 3 trimesters in the classroom and alternate back and forth until your senior year. This was the greatest adventure of my life, being able to sail aboard these gigantic ships. I made it all around the world during these 300 sea days and experienced valuable training as I would stand a 4-hour bridge watch and learn how to operate the navigation equipment and then spend 4 hours doing maintenance work around the ship. During my first sailing experience, I was a navigation cadet assigned to the Matson Monowilly, which sailed the Pacific Rim. Our route started in Long Beach, California, to Honolulu, Hawaii, then to Guam, to Okinawa, Japan, to Ningbo, China, Shanghai, China, and then back to Long Beach, California. I enjoyed my first sailing experience, so much that when the time came to report back to school, I was actually disappointed that I had to become a student once again and complete 2 more academic trimesters before I could relive the adventurous lifestyle of a modern-day sailor. But despite having to reintegrate with the regiment and school schedule, I decided to make the most of my time and really pursue improving my triathlon race times before my second sailing assignment. I made a goal that right before I would leave for second sailing, I was going to complete a half Ironman triathlon to prove to my fellow classmates that even with such a busy schedule, anyone can make more time to accomplish their goals. And sure enough, I built a training plan that would fit within the time frame of the 2 trimesters I had before I set sail once again, which was about 6 months. I built my conditioning up very slowly and raced in some small distance triathlon races. Then, with about 3 months to go, I was racing in the international distance races, which are about half the length of a half Ironman. Then, the big day finally came in September 2018. I remember having a feeling of both nervousness and excitement that morning. 1, because I knew I had a long day ahead of me, and 2, because a volunteer group of students from my school were coming to support me and help out the race director, so we had to be there an hour before the start of the race. Thankfully, we had good planning and made it to the race site at 6 in the morning, which gave me time to get the volunteers over to the race director, check in for the race, warm up, hydrate, and use the bathroom. And if you ever have raced in a major sporting event, you know that that last item usually takes the longest. Then, immediately following the national anthem, the starting gun fired and we were off. For those of you that don't know, a half Ironman race consists of 1.2 miles of swimming, 56 miles of biking, and 13.1 miles of running with no breaks, for a total of 70.3 miles. As I exited the water, I saw a few of my classmates cheering me on, which gave me the motivation to hop on the bike and begin to pedal. Throughout the bike course, I saw even more students giving me and the other competitors encouragement, which helped tremendously, especially as I finished the bike feeling a bit depleted physically. But despite this, I laced my running shoes up and began to run. The closer I got to the finish, the more tired and fatigued I began to feel. But the vision of finishing kept my legs turning. Then, at mile 10, My stomach felt like it flipped upside down, and an emergency bathroom stop was needed. I spent a good amount of time in the bathroom making certain that my stomach had settled. After the pit stop, I grabbed some water to hydrate, and I felt renewed. Then, 3.1 miles later, the finish line came into view, and after crossing the line, I looked up at the race clock and saw I had completed the New York Tough Man Championship race in 5 hours, 1 minute, and 43 seconds, and finished 11th overall in a field of 165 competitors. If only I hadn't stopped for the bathroom, I know I could have been under 5 hours. But I was very satisfied with the results and was ready to pack up the triathlon gear and prepare for my second sailing experience. A few weeks after the half Ironman, I received a shipping assignment for a Navy replenishment vessel in San Diego, California. And this ship's mission was to refuel other Navy vessels while sailing right next to them. This is known as underway replenishment, and it was really cool sailing about 200 meters away alongside another ship and giving them fuel by connecting hoses. But unfortunately, this was short-lived, as I pulled a hamstring while running on the ship's treadmill. So, for anyone who is a fitness fanatic and sails on ships, I would recommend using the stationary bike for cardio after this experience. It took about 3 weeks to heal, but as soon as I was medically cleared to work on ships again, I was assigned to a car-carrying vessel, the Alliance St. Louis, which had an international route through the Middle East. While on board, we started with a few port stops along the east coast of America. We then crossed the Atlantic, Mediterranean, and then sailed through the Suez Canal. After we transited through the Suez Canal, we stopped in Saudi Arabia, Dubai, 2 ports in Kuwait, India, then back through the Suez Canal. After transiting through the Suez Canal, we stopped in Barcelona, Spain, and Rota, Spain, where we picked up a large number of helicopters to take back to Jacksonville, Florida. After Florida, we sailed to Veracruz, Mexico, then Houston, Texas. After arriving in Houston, I received a new assignment from my school to transfer to a new ship, so after packing my bags and signing off the Alliance St. Louis, I headed out to meet the Liberty Grace in Orange, Texas. And funny enough, this breakbulker never left port while I was assigned to her. While on the ship, I did 2 work shifts providing maintenance work around the ship, since there was no need for a navigation watch shift while sitting in port. After 50 days of no sailing action with the Liberty Grace, my school reassigned me to my final international voyager, the Maersk Kensington, which had a similar shipping route to the Alliance St. Louis, but this time it was the summer season. This led to many hot, humid, and miserable days working in our long-sleeved safety boiler suits. The daily average was well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit every day, and I remember it would be only 15 minutes before my entire boiler suit was drenched in sweat. While sailing on the Maersk Kensington, our first stop was Algeciras, Spain, which borders the Rock of Gibraltar. And this was probably my most favorite city I visited, especially after getting up close to the famous apes that live on the Rock of Gibraltar. It was an experience I'll forever cherish, so much so that I'd be willing to go back again. After Algeciras, I got the experience of sailing through the Suez Canal once more. Then we stopped in the country of Oman before visiting the port of Dubai, and this time I made it into the city and took an elevator in the Mall of Dubai to the top touring deck of the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa, and the view was incredible, looking down 800 meters. After our stop in Dubai, we then traveled to Pakistan and India before turning the vessel around. And on our way back to America, we stopped again in Oman, sailed north through the Suez Canal, and then we hit Algeciras, Spain once more. And before I knew it, my international sea days were completed when we arrived back in the port of New York. Now all that was left to do was to pass my sea project examination. One thing I have not mentioned yet is that while students are on their sea year assignments, we are required to complete a project that reflects our understanding of how to operate these ships as a third mate or third engineer. And unfortunately for me, I only passed 5 of the 7 sea project exams, which meant I would have to complete 30 more sea days of sailing in order to sit for a retest. This wasn't the best start to my senior year at the Merchant Marine Academy, but they drew out a plan for me to get the C days and retake the project examinations before graduation. So from the looks of the situation, everything would go according to plan. Or so I thought.